The decision also underscores the court's position that legislative process cannot also challenge the constitutional grounds until they result in enforceable law. Let's take a listen to how the judgment was made.
Jurisdiction is based upon an enactment or any act done under the authority of an enactment. In the instant case, there is not as yet an enactment, properly so called, since the legislative process which would transform a bill into an act with the force of law has not yet terminated. The action, if at all, the supposed interpretative jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is as yet premature, and there is nothing on which to hang the exercise of the judicial review jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. The Constitution itself has prescribed the mode by which an enactment properly so called can come into being, and by the principle of separation of powers, those processes must be exhausted to produce a tangible product that can have legal effect when properly assented to by the President, the head of the executive. Until there is presidential assent, there is no act Parliament over which the Supreme Court can act of Parliament over which the Supreme Court can exercise its original jurisdiction to strike down if found to be inconsistent with the Constitution 1992. The plaintiff's action is therefore dismissed. Now the reasons will be available by close of day on Friday. Yes, so that is it for Richard Sky.
Meanwhile, in response to the ruling, human rights advocate and Professor Techiwa Menu has strongly criticized the decision.
They were not challenging the procedural issues, they were challenging the content of the act. Largely, the court let it stand, although it said that some of the provisions were not right. So I hope that our courts learn from each other, they take steps from each other, but we still, as a human rights defender and as somebody who believes in constitutionalism, I take what the Constitution says seriously about protecting the rights of all Ghanaians, about not discriminating against any Ghanaians, you know. So, but mind you, this action was not about the substantive provisions, it was procedural. Yes, so we preserve our rights. When we came to court last year for an injunction, one of the things that was being urged on us by the Chief Justice was, why don't you wait? We have invalidated acts, so wait, let the act be passed. But we thought, still, because the Constitution allows us to bring an action, even at that stage, that we would do that. Now that the Supreme Court says there's nothing wrong with that, it should proceed, we still have options under the act, you know. And
but how hopeful are you? Because there are people who have suggested that, I mean, this is a country where 93% of the population have already made it clear that they don't want to have LGBTQ people as their neighbors.
So what are they going to...
Don't you reckon this is a fruitless course?
No, I don't reckon that it is a fruitless course. What you are telling us is that we must legislate intolerance into law. That is a dangerous way to go, because the next time they might say that they don't want burly men like you, and because
well, we will stay a little longer on this issue, and also we'll be engaging the plaintiff of this matter, Richard Delesky's lawyer. But before that, let's take a little longer on this topic, as we spoke earlier to you about. Now, let's also look at the relief sought by the petitioners in the case. And as you know, the relief sought by Richard Delesky as displayed on your screen. So there was a declaration that upon a true and proper interpretation of Article 33, Clause 5 of the Constitution of the 1992, in light of the Article 12, Clause 1 and 2, and 15, Clause 1, it goes on and says that Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2024 by Parliament on 28 February 2024 contravened the Constitution, and it's so that its extent now and void of no effect. Again, a declaration that the Speaker of Parliament contravened Article 108 clause A and 11 of the Constitution in light of Article 296A BC by admitting and allowing Parliament to also proceed upon the pass the Human Sexual Rights and Families Bill 2024 into law, as well as the same impose a change upon the consolidated fund, rather public funds over them. Maybe I could quickly move on to the next one. It says that a declaration that Parliament extended its authority under Article 1062 exceeded Articles 1062 and 108A in the passing the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2024, as the same imposes a change a charge upon the consolidated fund or other public funds or Ghana. The fourth says that a declaration that upon the true and proper interpretation of Article 102 and 104 of the Constitution, Parliament lacked the requisite quorum to pass the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. I believe we do have lawyer of the plaintiff on the line, and so let's do engage. But before that, maybe we can just take the other one on your screen. It says that an other, okay, I could barely really see on the screens, but let's me get you that particular one on the screens, as you can see on your screens. All right, so let's display that on the screens, and I believe you see. Let me just quickly move down to 8. It says that such further orders or directions as this honorable court may seem meet, but unfortunately it looks like the court today has not given a proper ruling according to what the plaintiff has said. But let's engage the lawyers of the plaintiff over there, and I'm told we do have lawyer Pakwesi Abedu on this, who is the lawyer for Richard Deleskai. Counsel, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Well, my name is Eric from ABC One.
Very well.
Absolutely. Now, you were seeking for the bill to be declared null and void. How do you take the ruling of the courts today?
Well, as trained lawyers, our first line of training is to peruse, is to meticulously look at a decision of the court, a ruling, a judgment, whatever you may call it, an order, before you make comment about it. So for now, our hands are tied because we have not seen the full reasoning of the court, and we are waiting for same before we make any tentative comment.
And so in that case, are you going to appeal this ruling, or will you also wait till the bill is passed into law so that they can have some, argument in court on this?
The truth of the matter is that until we see the ruling, until we see the full reason behind the ruling, we are unable to take a decision. It is the import and content of the ruling that will determine our next step of action after full conference with our client and the entire legal team. For now, the only thing I can say is that it behoves on both parties, both Parliament, the Attorney General, and everybody involved, to give ourselves the benefit of the doubt for the ruling to come out and for us to study same before the bill is transmitted to the President for his assent.
But let me just ask you, how does this ruling also affect the communities that you represent?
It does, in the sense that, for now, let me say that I'm representing Richard Sky and not the LGBTQ APP community. It does, in the sense that we see a lot of constitutional breaches in the law.
Could you share that with us?
Yes, we see a lot of constitutional breaches. For instance, the Constitution guarantees freedom of association, which is an entrenched provision in the Constitution. Yet here we are told that people who champion such a cause cannot come together, otherwise they will be in breach of the law. And the sanction for same is custodial sentence. This we find very harsh. And again, we are told that anybody who willfully does any advocacy for LGBTQ APP will equally find himself in prison. So in the light of this and many more, we felt that the bill was against some fundamental human rights of citizens as entrenched in the 1992 Constitution. That aside, let's look at the procedure towards the passage of the law. Article 108 and Article 106 are very clear on the prerequisite for admission of a private member bill. A private member bill must be accompanied with a financial impact analysis report. Now, those of you who followed the matter in court may recall that at a point in time, Counsel for Parliament, or the Speaker, and my good friend Tadio Sori, on his feet, made a clear, unambiguous, unequivocal, and exact statement to the effect that he's gotten the financial impact analysis report showing that the bill was validly passed. And the Supreme Court asked him to bring it. Now, throughout the proceedings, this so-called report never reached the court between Parliament and the Supreme Court, which is less than 30 minutes drive. The report never came. We kept insisting and insisting and insisting, and that report never reached the Supreme Court. That aside, as to the issue of curate, whether the Parliament was curate at the time the bill was passed, we have not as yet seen. We attached clips, video clips of the composition of Parliament at the time, whether they made the 50% required for the passage of such a bill, and yet we've never heard or seen the comment or the decision, the ruling, the reasoning of the Supreme Court behind its ruling on the subject. In the light of all this, I believe it to be fair and proper for me as counsel to see the ruling, the full judgment of the Supreme Court before I come out tentatively to indicate my next step of action. Please bear with me.
So then it means that we'd have to wait until the president maybe has the bill before we also know what the action of your team would be.
From the summary of the judgment as read by the presiding justice of the Supreme Court, if what I heard, I stand correction, but if what I heard was right, it's and we commence the action. Our right had not accrued. We should have waited for the bill to blossom into law before we take such a step. Regardless of the stage reached, can we say that a clear breach of the Constitution must be tolerated? It must be condoned to the point of firm enactment of an act before we bring it up. All these are agitating legal matters on our minds. But for now, we have not seen the full reasoning of the court. So we are unable to put our thumb on any paper to say that this is the direction we are taking. But we have a lot of issues agitating on our mind as lawyers. And we will plead, as I said, between now and Friday is not too far. Let's all keep our fingers crossed. When we get the full ruling of the full judgment of the court, we will not hesitate to come clear on our next step of action to the media.
But, I mean, finally, before I let you go, looking at the agitations and counter-argument in legal law, I should say counter-arguments, aren't you really trying to maybe, in as much as, yes, we're fighting for the rights of these people that you represent, I mean, generally, there's a serious oppose about this. So why not maybe take another step in this approach?
One of the things found upon by our court is what we call duplication of action. Once a court has pronounced on a matter, it becomes res judicata. You do not reserve the right to repeat that same action before another court. In fact, the lawyers say you are stopped. That's the legal language. It becomes a matter in the realm of estoppel. But you recall that under Article 133 of the 1992 Constitution, every citizen of Ghana who invokes the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court reserves the right to go for a review. So our remit of seeking justice is not totally closed. We can go back to the court if we still have concerns which we believe must be addressed by the court. But it is too premature at this stage for me to put my hand on the table and say that we are doing A, B, C, D. The Supreme Court only gave us a summary, a gist of its conclusion. I would rather like to see the full judgment of the Supreme Court before I commit myself to any such task.
All right, lawyer, thanks so much for having time with us on this legal. Thank you so much once again. Absolutely. We have been speaking with lawyer Pakwesi Abedu. He is the lawyer for Richard Deleskai, the plaintiff in this matter. In subsequent bulletin, we will try to also engage some lawyers also to better understand what this means and how we can also approach with this constitution. But away from that, let's still do more news. We're streaming live once again on YouTube. Connect with us. Let's know what you think about it. Professor Stephen Kweku Osare, a citizen of Ghana, has petitioned President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo for the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu for alleged misbehavior and incompetence. The petitioner, in a letter dated December 17, noted that, and I quote, "The legal basis of my petition is Article 146, Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana," unquote. Now, for avoidance of doubt, my petition focuses on stated misbehavior and incompetence related to the Chief Justice's administrative function as head of the judiciary responsible for its supervision and administration under Article 1254 of the Constitution. Article 146(1) also stipulates that justice of the Superior Court or a chairman of the regional tribunal shall not be removed from the office except for stated misbehavior or incompetence or on ground of inability to perform the function of his office and arising from infirmity of the body of mind. Now, the petitioner also said this. He also exercises of the judicial functions. Now, the petitioner indicated, for instance, that the Chief Justice elaborate scheme of requesting the president to appoint specific judges and letter presenting the names for the Judicial Council's approval subverts the constitutional scheme and converts both the council and president into rubber stamping her referred judges. We want to also take you through the article that says that, the process is to remove a justice of the Superior Court and whether the current petition meets those requirements. So it says, Article 146, removal of justice of Superior Court and chairman of the regional tribunal. So one says the justice of the Superior Court or a chairman of the regional tribunal shall not be removed from office except for stated misbehavior or incompetence or on grounds of inability to perform, just as I said to you earlier, office of arising from infirmity or a body of mind. Again, it states that a justice of the Superior Court or judicature or a chairman of the regional tribunal may only be removed in accordance with the procedure specified in the article. It states a lot of things, but we can also let you watch again what it says again in this rather third and fourth article. It says that if the president receives a petition for the removal of justice of the Superior Court other than the Chief Justice or the other removal of the chairman of the regional tribunal, he shall refer the petition to the Chief Justice, who shall also determine whether there is a prima facie case in this conversation. Again, it states that where the Chief Justice decides that there are prima facie case, he shall set up a committee consisting of 3 justices of the Superior Court or chairman of the regional tribunals or both appointed by the Judicial Council of 2 other persons who are not members of the Council of State or member of the Parliament, not lawyers, and who shall also be appointed by the Chief Justice on the advice of the Council of State. I believe we can just wrap up with this one. It says that the committee also appointed under clause 4 of this article shall investigate the complaint and shall make a recommendation to the Chief Justice, who shall also forward them to the President. Again, finally, where the petition is for the removal of the Chief Justice, the President shall, acting in consultation with the Council of State, appoint a committee consisting of 2 justices of the Supreme Court, one of whom shall also be appointed chairman. Well, let's move away from that because there's a lot of graphics on that, and we will be bringing you back. But we do have a lawyer, a constitutional lawyer on the line. Okay, I believe my producer tells me we'll get in touch with lawyer very soon. But before, again, let me just bring you back again to the article that, or the constitution that requires the Justices Superior Courts and the chairman of the Regional Tribunal in accordance to why the Chief Justice can be removed from office. Again, it states that the committee appointed under clause 6 of the article shall inquire into the petition and recommend to the President whether the Chief Justice ought to be removed from office. It says that all proceedings under this article shall be held in camera, and the justice of chairman against whom the petition is made is entitled to be heard in the defense by himself or by lawyer, other except for his choice. Again, the President shall in each case act in accordance with the recommendation of the committee. Now, where a petition has been referred to a committee under article, it also says that the presidency may, in the case of the Chief Justice acting in accordance with the advice of the Council of State by a warrant signed by him, suspend the Chief Justice. Again, it states that in case of any other justice or a superior court of the chairman of a regional tribunal acting in accordance with the advice of the Judicial Council, suspend that justice or the chairman of a regional tribunal. And finally, it says that the President may at any time revoke a suspension under this article. Well, we do have a constitutional lawyer on the phone, and we want to engage him, Lawyer Kwame Adolfo, on this development. Lawyer, once again, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Now, I just want to find out from you, what constitutes misbehavior and incompetence in this context, and how are these terms defined in the Ghanaian law?
Let me say good afternoon to you and your listeners and the viewers. Look, there's no set definition for misconduct and misbehavior. In most jurisdictions, you go through or you consult a dictionary, and the dictionary will give you a definition or examples of misconduct and misbehavior. In Ghana, we do resort to the Black Law Dictionary. In other jurisdictions, we go for Macquarie Dictionary, various dictionaries to come in. These are tools we use in interpretation. Now, one misbehavior that I can immediately think of is, for example, where a judge clearly goes and asks for a bribe. It's a serious misconduct. Even though it's a misbehavior, it's also a very serious misconduct. And or if a judge tries to influence another judge to get to a particular outcome, that's also a very serious misconduct. So there's a whole range of conduct that can be said to amount to misconduct or misbehavior. There's no such cast in stone conduct that is that we can say this, if you do this right, misconduct. No, there's a whole range of conduct that can be interpreted to amount to misconduct.
Lawyer, then again, the question would then be that what kind of evidence or documentation is typically required to support claims of misbehavior and incompetence, just as this petitioner is seeking for?
You see, the starting point is there's the presumption of innocence until it's proved. That is the starting point. You are always presumed to have not done anything wrong until we have been able to lay out all the evidence that show only one outcome, and that is beyond all doubts that you've done what is alleged to have been done. Now, in this case, it's a bit curious in the sense that I've looked at the petition, and I find a lot more strange things within the petition that is difficult to really understand. The first one is, if you have a copy of the petition, it says it was written on the 17th of December, which is yesterday. Now, curiously, the date that is received at the supposed recipient's office is the day before, which is the 16th. That means it was received even before it was written. You ask yourself, how is that possible? Clearly, somebody has made an error somewhere, or somebody intentionally did that. We don't know. But then, if you look at the petition itself, if you go to the body of the petition itself, initially, it sets out clearly that it's a petition from one called Professor Asari. And if you look at the way the petition is written, initially, it's him saying, I have seen this. But then when you read down to page 13, paragraph 79, instead of the first person's terms, now it becomes a plural. Then you start to ask yourself, plural in the sense that it's no longer I have seen, or the Chief Justice has done this. Now it is our contention. So from somebody who is now making a complaint to now a group of people making a complaint. I don't know if you are following what I'm saying. Initially, it says he alone is making the petition or the complaint or the allegation. But when you read the petition down to page 13, paragraph 79, it says it is our contention that. So it's no longer his alone. It is our, meaning plural. It tells you that there's more to this that that meets the eye. Now, let's keep going. I have looked at the petition entirely, and there's a whole range of matters of concerning. For example, the initial basis of the petition is that the Chief Justice is or has breached Article 128. 1. Article 128.1 simply says that there should be a minimum of 9 judges plus the Chief Justice, making it 10. That's the minimum. Now, the allegation made against the Chief Justice is that she has requested for additional judges. Now, if she requests for additional judges, does it mean she's breaching a minimum? If there's any complaint, it should rather be that she's asking for a maximum, which the Constitution doesn't say anything about a maximum. The Constitution, in fact, says not a minimum of 10. So if the Chief Justice hasn't asked or requested that the number of judges should be reduced below 10, then how can you make a complaint against him that he's flouting or breaching the Constitution? I don't know if you followed what I'm saying.
But lawyer, does these things you have indicated invalidates the petition?
If you can repeat the question for me again.
Yeah, I was asking that these things, does it invalidate the petition?
Does it invalidate the petition? Is that the question you're asking?
Yeah, yes.
No, but you see, when somebody makes a petition, it's a combination of various allegations put together as forming the basis upon which somebody has to be removed from office. In this particular case, the Chief Justice, they are saying, should be removed. So you look at every allegation one after the other and see whether they've been made out. But if you look at it and they have clearly not been made out, then at the end of the day, it's not about validity. It's about whether there's substance in the allegation itself. I don't know if you're following. The whole point is, for somebody to be removed, it must be very serious. And it's a combination of various allegations put together if they've made out. So if they start falling apart, for example, you are saying she has violated Article 128 simply because she's asking for more judges. Then you look at Article 128, and it doesn't say that if you ask for more judges, then you should be removed. No. It says if it goes below a certain amount, which is rather not the case here. She hasn't asked that the president reduces it to below 10. So that charge that she has violated Article 128 definitely cannot stand. Then you move to the others. I don't know if you are following what I mean. The others are, for example, she listed certain individuals that she is of the view have certain type of quality that will help in the Supreme Court in performing its functions. Look, we are in a country where a president can just nominate anyone. So a president can nominate an ordinary lawyer, as long as you're a lawyer. The basic prerequisite is that you're a lawyer. So the president can nominate any lawyer to go to the Supreme Court. So the president goes to the Supreme Court and finds that his experience or his background is not that essential in the workload that they have now pending. In Ghana, for example, we have over 90% of the cases that go to the Supreme Court to be land. So if the judge or the lawyer who has now become a judge doesn't know anything about land law, how is he going to enhance the bench? It's going to be difficult. So if the Supreme Court say, look, in our view, or if the Chief Justice say, in our view, we think these people are experts in this area, we need them at the Supreme Court.
Lawyer, I mean, we would want to expand on this conversation, but let me just find out from you, because there have been a lot of, arguments on this, but let me find out from you, what effect would the removal of Chief Justice have on the credibility of the independence of Ghana's judiciary?
Well, it's a problem. It's a big deal when a Chief Justice is removed. It's not something that some people can consider as a walk in the park. It's a big, big deal because she is the head of the judiciary. It's not as if she who has been caught by a NAS tape expose, for example. Then clearly the evidence will be almost impossible to rebut. But we have a situation where people don't like the Chief Justice, or people don't like the idea that Chief Justice can empanel certain members, can transfer cases, can transfer judges. Is that enough for us to say the Chief Justice should go? Is that what we are saying? And that will be a very serious thing, because it means politicians are now being invited into the justice arena to decide who will want to be a Chief Justice and who we don't want to be a Chief Justice. That's even more dangerous. And I think those who are treading on that path should be very careful, because it's far more dangerous. You can remove anybody else, but for you to go after the Supreme Court and to go after a Chief Justice, that is very serious. And I think they should be very careful, because I don't think this petition is no longer, I haven't read it, it's no longer about Professor Asare alone. There are people behind it. And as I said, if you read paragraph 79 on page 13, it tells you clearly. The moment somebody says it is our contention, it tells you that it's no longer one person. There are some people behind it, masquerading, and they are asking Professor just to be on the face of it. And it's more than that. I think the agenda is to remove the Chief Justice, come what may. So they are looking and fishing, which we lawyers say, go on a fishing expedition, look for the evidence to come and make it stick. Otherwise, if you read it, you can see clearly there isn't enough evidence. If anything at all, it's way, way at the lower end of the scale for anybody to say, I'm going to remove the Chief Justice.
Counsel, we're so much grateful this afternoon for your time.
You're always welcome.
Thank you so much. We have been speaking to legal practitioner, lawyer Kwame Adolfo on this. Well, it's a developing story, so we also focus our eyes on that, and maybe in subsequent bulletin we also engage more luminaries to also have diverse conversations on this. But let's do more news. Once again, we're streaming live on YouTube. Connect with us. Let's get interactive. And away from that, President-elect John Dramani Mahama has established a team to gather and receive information from the public regarding suspected act of corruption corruption. According to a press statement issued on Wednesday, December 18, and signed by the spokesperson of the Mahama Transition Team, the newly formed body will serve as a conduct for the citizens to report corruption-related issues. The statement highlighted President-elect John Mahama's dedication to addressing corruption comprehensively and ensuring that public resources are managed responsibly. The team is chaired by Samuel Okujetu-Ablakwa, Member of Parliament for North Tong, and other members include notable individuals such as former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo, retired Commissioner of Police Nathaniel Kofi Boache, private legal practitioner Martin Kwebu, and investigative journalist Raymond Archer. Now, their collective expertise is expected to enhance the effectiveness of these anti-corruption activities and initiatives. Now, this development, according to the statement, is part of a broader effort by the Mahama administration to restore public trust and strengthen institutions tasked with combating corruption. The team's work is expected to complement existing mechanisms while encouraging citizens' participation in the fight against corruption. Let's take a look at the committee members of this, and also what they are, their input, and what they expected to bring on the board on this ambitious move. And so we would want to let you know exactly who these persons are. Just as I've mentioned, certain Samuel Okujetu-Ablakwa's name has been mentioned over there, who is the Member of Parliament for North Tong, and also we do have private legal practitioner Martin Kwebu also over there, and we do have former Auditor General Daniel Domelevo, and we also do have investigative journalist Raymond Archer also over there, and retired police commissioner, that's retired Commissioner of Police Nathaniel Kofi Boache over there. And these names, after the committee brought out their names, have been met with a lot of reactions. And just as you see on your screens, I said earlier, Honorable Samuel Okujetu-Ablakwa is the chairman. Member of Parliament, as I said earlier, for North Tong. He also is a chairman for Assurance Committee in Parliament. He was before. He also was the former Deputy Minister of Education in 2013 to 2017 during the Mahama administration. He also was the Deputy Minister of Information, and so his portfolio speaks volume of him since 2009 and 2013. Then looking at the portfolio of Mr. Daniel Domelevo, who was the former Auditor General. In recent times, he also was the public finance and governance expert. He was the public financial management expert at the World Bank from 2010 to 2016. Again, he was the Auditor General of Ghana since December 2016 to March 2012. And there was some interesting conversation during his tenure again as the Auditor General. And let's look at the portfolio, or I should say the background, of another member on the panel, who is Mr. Martin Kwebu, counsel, we call him. He also is a private legal practitioner and advocate for the LGBTQ rights people, I believe. And we also would want to look at the other member on the panel, which is Mr. Raymond Archer. He is an investigative journalist. He also is the Chief Executive Officer of the Universal Label and Packaging Company board member. He also is West African Organization for Democracy and Governance. So these are the members on the Mahama anti-corruption drive, and we see how this would pan out. But we want to find out from, legal perspective and also anti-graft in terms of corruption, how these people will be able to help combat the corruption that has bedeviled the country. Remember that President-elect John Mahama has outlined certain measures, he says, that he will be taken to combat corruption issues here in Ghana. And these are, I believe, one of the first bold initiative that he has taken. But what will also be the focus of this 5 members committee? So the NDC manifesto also outlines the key things Mahama will focus on. And in his first 120 days in office, which includes the oral initiative, hence the bill, the 5-member committee will also focus on these things. So let us also take you through these things and see how this would pan out. So I'm really going to take you through what the alleged corruption under the NPP administration captured in the Mahama 120 social contract. So it says that institute inquires and or a forensic audit into following matters of public interest. It caused the collapse of the indigenous Ghanaian banks and financial institutions at a supposed cost of 25 billion Ghana cedis, illegal printing of money. The $58 million National Cathedral scandal also captured over there. Illegal and inflated single source contract, COVID-19 expenditure, the most scandalous PDS deal in Japan, also captured over there. SML ambulance spare parts deal, the 13 African Games, which was held recently, also has been captured. And the president-elect says he will be investigating all these matters. SkyTrain also captured. The Pualugu Dam mat set, Galamsey fraud also captured. Missing excavators, which we didn't find where these alleged excavators flew to, but we were told that we cannot find these excavators. So our president-elect says that these members will be the one tackling all these issues. Well, we hope it comes to pass. Again, what was captured against was that the commenced investigative process to purge state security agencies of all militia and vigilante elements. Recently, also the Ayawaso West Wogon thing. So it also has been captured. So we open investigation into major unresolved criminal cases, including the 2020 elections, killing in Ayawaso West Wogon by-election, and the violence and the murder of Ahmed Hussein Swale and Silas Hulanchume. I believe I got the name correctly. Again, it says that initiate a probe into the man-made disaster caused by the VRA's spillage from the Akosombo and Kong Dam that displaced and destroyed the livelihoods of thousands of citizens in the volatile Eastern and Greater Accra regions. Again, carry out a shake-up of all laws-making SOEs and realign them to break even and the transition into profit. So these are some of the alleged corruptions under the NPP administration captured in Mahama's 120 days. Well, we're trying to also engage an anti-graft campaigner, Vitus Axim, on the position of this team and whether or not this, I mean, the president-elect's, what do you call step is anything to go by, and how we all should be anticipating the efficiency of these members. Well, a lot of people have also picked out certain members on the panel and have criticized them. Some say they don't deserve to be on the bill, or I mean on the list, and so we wanted to engage an anti-graft campaigner on that, but it looks like we're finding challenges with our network, but we'll try and resolve that and get back on that issue as well. That President-elect John Dramani Mahama has called on Yapongura of the Gonja land and Damango, I beg your pardon, traditional authority to support him with prayers to deliver on his mandate to the good people of Ghana for confidence reposed in him for the second coming of President as the Fourth Republic. Now, John Dramani Mahama made this call during a visit by the overlord of the Gonja land, Yapongura, Kunotu Jewu Swale the first, and the Damango traditional leader. John Mahama also expressed gratitude to all the chiefs and commiserate with all the overlords of losing his wife in election.
And I appreciate very much the greetings that they have brought from him. And I've said that this victory belongs to him, because when I was elected the flag bearer for the NDC, I went back home as tradition demands. As my overlord and the head of my traditional area, it was important for me to go back and inform him officially which I did. He received the news with gladness, and I know that since that day he hasn't slept. He has prayed and called for all kinds of spiritual support for me from both our clergy and Muslim leaders, but also from our ancestors, that our ancestors of the Gonja Kingdom stand behind me in the battle into which I was going. He also has visited his colleague chiefs all across the length and breadth of the country, canvassing support for me. And so this victory is for all of us, is as much mine as it is his. And so I've asked the delegation to thank him very much for the support that he has given me. I had expected that I would rather go home and go and thank him and hand the victory over to him, as traditionally I should. But the delegation has come, so I'm sending a message that during the Christmas break I'll have the time to come back home. And so when I come, I'll come and do what is proper, greet him traditionally, and also continue to ask for his prayers. As I said, the easy part is over, which is the election. The difficult part now begins. And to whom much is given, much is expected. The people of Ghana have given us such a dramatic victory, and it's an indication that the expectation in us is very high.
Put some business stories to stay. And in business, economist Ibo Duncan has weighed into the ongoing debate over the e-levy, stating that it should stay despite contributing only 5% to tax revenue. Speaking on ABC in the morning, he argued that the e-levy helps bridge the gap at the country's tax rate gap.
Some of the areas that have to do reforms in terms of taxation. But for me, e-levy should stay, though it doesn't very much, about 1%, but if broadening the tax rate, we are talking about broadening.
Also, Ibo Duncan has emphasized the need for tax reforms, particularly at the port, where he criticized the taxing of taxes of the import and multiplication of levies like the VAT, the GET Fund and NHIL, which he said increased the cost of goods. Meanwhile, the government and the incoming government continue to present competing visions for Ghana's economic future, with the NDC proposing tax cuts of the 24-hour economy initiative.
But I wanted, there should be some tax reforms, especially when you go to the ports. Why do you tax? Why am I saying they are taxing tax there? If you bring your goods, the CIF value, they add GET Fund, they add NHIL, and then that becomes the actual value of your import, which is wrong. And then upon that, then they cut the VAT on that. So you've added some taxes on the CIF value, and then you are taxing that tax again. You see? So that area is one of the areas that has to be checked. You see? So that area is one of the tax again.
And that's all for business, but we want to do some more local news. And away from that, the Chidomhene of Okuapem traditional area, Osaberima and Sasraku, has commended presidential candidate and the president-elect John Dramani Mahama for promoting peace during the 2024 general election. He made these remarks at the 2024 Ohum Asafosa Festival at the Mamfe Okuapem in the Eastern region.
Festival marks peace and unity and features an ancient tradition where chiefs and the people share palm wine from a single pot. Osaberima Sasasreku commended the political leaders for protecting peace during the elections. He further urged the outgoing government and the incoming government to collaborate for peaceful transition devoid of tensions.
Asumdwe aba Ghana man manfiman yama president-elect Honorable John Dramani Mahama Tinkwa. Mekai na Midday Honorable Vice President as he said mpo one can one anka benen wi na nkasa oma o consider na oma ne competitor no trinkwa na anno mijem disegina so na ma Ghana man o man no mu adwobro ko sanke bia wanyesa ebe bi na nka basabasa nti honorable nchebia wedema honorable Vice President nso say o man no donti Emma o consider ma ne yenyina yete asundwe mu no yedanase wo Ghana man o man no mu adwobro ko sanke bia wanyesa ebe bi na nka basabasa nti honorable nchebia wedema honorable Vice President nso say o man no donti Emma o consider ma ne yenyina yete
Away from that, let's do some election stories. And the Swalugu constituency branch of the National Democratic Congress NDC is formally requesting an investigation into the 2024 parliamentary election results. Now, should the Electoral Commission EC fail to address the identified irregularities, the NDC says it intends to go to court. Let's take a bite of what has been transpiring at that site.
To Abbas Nyagba, Public Relations Officer of the NDC branch, significant discrepancies were observed during the election process. Specifically, the number of ballots issued was less than the number of verified voters, and instances were reported where 2 ballots were provided to individual voters. Additionally, there were inaccuracies noted during the tabulation of results on the pink sheets. Mr. Nyagba also highlighted that polling agents of the NDC face intimidation with threats of violence reported. He asserted that the electoral process within the constituency was neither free nor fair, despite the declaration of NPP candidate as the winner. In light of these concerns, the NDC is calling for a rerun of the Swalugu parliamentary election by the Electoral Commission to ensure that the electoral process upholds the principle of fairness and integrity.
In the Swalugu constituency, our parliamentary elections was not free, neither was it transparent, neither was it comfortable. We had about 47 people who voted. 47 people who voted for parliamentary without having subjected themselves to any level or levels of verification, whether electronic or manual, nothing of sort. Our understanding is that 2 ballot papers were being issued to voters to go and cast their votes. And so when you look at the pink sheet for Edi Jongene, you will realize on the face of the pink sheet that 47 people voted without being verified, biometric or manual. And that particular result went into the declaration of the NPP candidate, declaring her as the winner of the elections. Number 2, you visit Pigu 1 and 2. How can vote of 300 and 216 turn into an overall vote of 316? 216. But eventually overall votes turn into 316. That is.
Away from that, let's do some sports news after this. And in sports, Vinicius Jr., the Brazilian forward for Real Madrid, has been named the FIFA Men's Player of the Year 2024. He received the award at the FIFA Best Award ceremony in Doha, Qatar on December 17, 2024. Vinicius played a key role in Real's Championship League, the La Liga, winning in the 2024 scoring 24 goals and providing 11 assists. He also became the youngest player to score in 2 Champions League finals. Vinicius Jr. topped the vote chart with 48 points ahead of the 2024 Ballon d'Or winner Rodri and follows teammate Jude Bellingham. FIFA also revealed the FIFA Pro World 11, which featured Emiliano Martinez from Aston Villa, Ruben Diaz from Manchester City, and William Saliba from Arsenal, Gani Cavaji, Antonio Rodriguez, Jude Bellingham, and Cross, all from Real Madrid, and Rodri Ellen, Haaland from Man City, and Lamine Yamal from Barcelona, and Vinicius Jr. of Real Madrid. Let's bring you some international updates. An international, at least 34 people have died in Mozambique following a devastating cost by Cyclone Chi, the authorities confirmed on Tuesday. The Clydon has left destruction in its wake of the French island of Mayotte, where a curfew has been imposed to curb looting amid ongoing cleanup efforts. Now, Mozambique's National Institute of Risk and Disaster Management reported that over 300 people sustained injuries, while nearly 33,600 homes and 170 fishing boats were destroyed. Now, more than 175,000 people in Mozambique have been affected by the cyclone. Chido made landfall in the Cabo Delgado province on Sunday, claiming about 28 lives before moving further inland to Manpula and Nissan province, where 6 more fatalities have been recorded. Now, rescue teams are still navigating through heavily damaged areas to assist those in need. Officials have warned that the toll could rise significantly, with rescue teams still searching for missing persons. Let's wrap up the bulletin with some entertainment updates. And entertainment, musician Adam has urged President-elect John Dramani Mahama to include the Ghana Music Rights Organization, GAMRO, in the list of institutions to be investigated under the NDC's Operation Recover or Loot, the oral initiative. Now, this initiative is part of Mahama's 120-day social contract agenda aimed to tackle corruption, recover state resources, and promote accountability in key institutions. Now, taking to X, formerly Twitter, Adam reminded the president-elect of his commitment to addressing issues across various sectors. He wrote, and I quote as you see on the screens, "Dear President Mahama, I performed at your final rally because I believed in your vision. Please don't forget to add GAMRO to the list of institutions to probe. I am willing to dedicate my time to a pro bono committee with other colleagues to ensure change in the creative space," and quote. Now, he further also highlighted contributors like Seven Mark Darlington and Cyril as potential allies for the initiative. Well, that's all for this package this afternoon. But before we go, let's do a recap of our top stories this afternoon. And President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has been petitioned to remove Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu. We tried to engage, we engaged legal luminary on that. Also, all is set for President-elect John Dramani Mahama's Operation All Loot agenda with a list of 5-member team, and the list has been released where they have been met with some criticisms over there. Also, two petitions filed by broadcast journalist and lawyer Della Sky in Equality and Inclusion advocate Amanda Doy, challenging the constitutionality of the Human Sexual Rights and Families Value Bill, unfortunately have been dismissed. And in business, stakeholders in the business community are urging